I grew up in the city, so when my wife and I decided to move to the countryside for a quieter life, we didn't really know what we were getting into. We found a small old house, tucked far from the main road, surrounded by rice fields and bamboo trees. It looked peaceful during the day, but at night, it was too quiet. The first night, we couldn't sleep because of the sounds, crickets, rustling bamboo leaves, and wind brushing against the old wooden walls. Around 2 a.m., I woke up to a loud noise above us, like someone dragging something heavy across the ceiling. But the house only had one floor. There was no attic. The next day, I asked our only neighbor down the road, an old woman. She just said, "That house doesn't keep people long. Folks come and go." I brushed it off as local superstition. But the second night, the noise came back. Louder this time. Like something crawling across the ceiling and stopping right above our bed. My wife clutched my hand tightly. Neither of us could sleep until dawn. On the third night, I had a flashlight and a wooden stick ready. When the sound returned, I stood up and aimed the light at the ceiling. Nothing. But I did hear something else. A giggle. Soft, like it was trying not to be heard. We decided to move out that same week. But before we left, the old neighbor came by one last time. She handed me a small bunch of dried flowers and said, "You're supposed to place this in the corner of the room to keep her calm." I never asked who she was. And I don't think I ever want to know. This happened to my uncle in the early 2000s, in a remote village in central Java. He was a farmer who lived a simple life. The house he lived in used to belong to my great-grandparents, and behind the barn, hidden by overgrown grass and banana trees, was an old stone well no one used anymore. One afternoon, while cleaning up the barn area, my uncle decided to check on the well. He said he just felt curious. When he peered down, he didn't see any water, just darkness. But the strange thing was, he heard something. A faint splash. Then a voice. A girl's voice. It was calling his name. He told himself it was just the wind or a trick of his mind. But that night, he dreamed of a little girl in a soaked white dress, standing beside the well, crying. Her long hair covered her face, and she whispered over and over again, "It's cold down here. It's cold down here." The dream happened again the next night. And the next. Eventually, my uncle couldn't take it anymore. He went back to the well in daylight and threw in a flashlight tied to a rope. It swung a bit, then hit something. So, like it had landed on a pile of clothes. Or flesh. He reported it to the village head. They brought in help to investigate, and after hours of digging and draining, they found bones. Small bones, child-sized. They never identified who it was. No one in the village ever reported a missing girl. But since that day, no one goes near that well anymore. They built a small shrine beside it. And whenever you pass it at night, you can still hear splashing. This story happened to me in 2018 when I was visiting my cousin who lived in a rural village up in the mountains. The place was quiet, foggy most mornings, and had only one main road that split at an old stone crossroad near a large tree. One night, I borrowed my cousin's motorbike to grab some snacks from a stall about 5 kilometers away. It was already past 10 p.m., and the road was dark with only the dim light from my bike cutting through the fog. When I reached the crossroad, I noticed a woman standing right under the tree. She was wearing a faded kabaya, her long black hair flowing down to her waist. I slowed down. Thought maybe she needed help. "Are you all right, ma'am?" I asked. She didn't answer. She just pointed toward the left path, the one that villagers always avoided at night. I had a chill run down my spine, but out of instinct, I followed her direction. The path led to the old part of the village. Abandoned houses, broken fences, and silence. That's when I realized she was no longer behind me, or anywhere. I turned the bike around quickly, but when I got back to the crossroad, she was standing there again. Same spot, same pose. Only this time, her head was slightly tilted, and her smile was too wide. I gunned the throttle and raced back home. When I told my cousin, his face went pale. "You saw her?" he whispered. "That woman died in a fire decades ago. She used to live at the end of that left road. They say she waits at the crossroad, hoping someone would take her home. Since then, I never ride alone at night in the countryside, especially not near crossroads, because sometimes they're waiting."